Joining us now with stories trending around the world is Anieze Osakwe from the famous Ogidi land.
Absolutely.
The land of giants.
The land of giants. All the Ogidi people love to hear all this praise that you give us every morning. We're here for it. Thank you, Dr. Abachi.
Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you, Vimbai.
Good morning, Annie.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well.
I see your engagement glow.
Oh my goodness.
Into the week. I love love. I can't help myself.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. Yes.
Having traveled all the way from Zimbabwe to find love in Nigeria.
Right?
Of course.
Exactly.
You are the archetypal lover girl.
I am.
Absolutely. I love that. It would be good to see you here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm well. And good morning to everyone out there. Thank you all for starting your day with us. But before we start what's trending today, we want to bring you some very sad breaking news, where we're now just learning that the world-renowned Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and her husband, Dr. Ivara Esege, have lost one of their twin boys. Now, we got a statement that we received, just a few minutes ago from Omawumi Ogbe, who says, "We're deeply saddened to confirm the passing of one of Ms. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and Dr. Ivara Esege's twin boys, Nkanu Nnamdi, who passed away on Wednesday, the 7th of January, 2026, after a brief illness. He was 21 months old, and the family is devastated by this profound loss. And we request that their privacy be respected during this incredibly difficult time. We ask for your grace and your prayers as they mourn in private. No further statements will be made. And we thank the public and the media for respecting their need for seclusion during this period of immense grief." And, this is just an unimaginable loss for their entire family. May his soul rest in peace. And I don't know if, anyone wants to say just a few words about this horrible tragedy that we're just learning about.
It is, you can't imagine anybody wants to talk on such a horrible story. It is for people who are parents, people who are not parents, it is quite literally the worst thing in the world to lose a child as a parent. It's a experience that we don't ever expect. So to see this news, it is devastating and heartbreaking. Just as you read it, just the shivers that run through the body. So we do extend our deepest condolences to Chimamanda herself and to her husband and to their entire family at this time. And we pray that there won't ever be a loss like this that affects them or anybody else in this way again.
And just to chime in on that, I do pray that the public heeds their request for privacy during this difficult time. It's a deeply private, shall I call it experience that they're going through, and it doesn't need to be tampered with, doesn't need to be tainted. Social media these days no longer knows what's taboo, what's sacred, and I just continue to plead with the public to just allow them to be in this time.
Absolutely.
Well, certainly no parent, whether a father or a mother, wants to lose a child, because we're talking about a loss that is irreparable, that is irreversible. And that speaks to the sensitivity of this kind of development. You all know that Chimamanda Adichie is one of our beloved diamonds in Nigeria. So anything that affects her is likely to also affect many of us as members of the same humanity. So we condole with her, and we pray that the Almighty Father will console her and her husband, and that the future will be brighter. And may the soul of the departed, young man rest in peace. Very painful for all of us who love, procreation and love humanity, and particularly love Chimamanda Adichie. But we're all human beings. There are bright moments, there are dull moments. May God grant the couple the courage to stand up to this adversity and move on.
Absolutely. Nkanu Nnamdi, may his soul rest in peace. We'll now start what's trending today with reactions trailing comments made by the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike on what feels like his multi-city tour of Rivers State. Now, speaking yesterday in Ahuada East, he He publicly called the current state governor, Sim Fubara, a bad child because, according to him, he killed a critical youth empowerment program in the state. But meanwhile, in Asari Toru local government area, Wike also congratulated in advance his rainbow coalition of candidates drawn from across the political parties, assuring they'll all be elected in 2027. Let's watch.
I employed the River State youths, 10,000. The person we handed over power to, instead of allowing the 10,000 youth to cancel that job. 10,000 youth. A bad child is a bad child. Nigeria used to respect us. But I don't know what it is today. You will tell.
Now, all of these stops that we've been talking about this week is Wike personally traveling to the 23 local government areas of River State to show his appreciation to the people he says stood by him and the president in 2023. And I'll take some quick reactions. Paul says, Wike canceled a River State scholarship scheme that benefited even children of the poor, Buguma Fishing and Songhai Farm. Not that he employed 10,000 youths, he approved them before leaving office and Fubara canceled. Why didn't he employ them at the beginning of his tenure? Then the chairman tweeted, a whole elected governor is a child to Wike. This is what democracy has turned into in Nigeria. And finally, Benny wrote, who is taking charge of the FCT? And that last tweet is especially apt because it's what a lot of people on social media have been wondering. Because while Wike is in Rivers, police in Abuja are now investigating what appears to be the return of one-chance operators in the federal capital. Yesterday, we talked about the death of nurse Chinemerem Chukwumeziem, and we have pictures of her. But now we're learning also that Princess Mediatrix, there on the right, a former treasurer of the Nigerian Bar Association, was discovered earlier this week along the Kubwa Expressway with her bag flung a short distance away from her body. Now, the FCT Police PR officer, her name is Josephine Ade, on Wednesday confirmed this incident and that investigations are ongoing to figure out the circumstances around the killings. And Dr. Abati, I'll come to you on this because we talked about this yesterday. Wike is in Rivers. He isn't necessarily in charge of security in Abuja, but it's almost as if people are still holding him accountable for what happens there. So how should we see these two stories together, if at all?
Okay, I made the point yesterday that we should not overstretch the logic. The fact that Wike is in Port Harcourt on a frolic of his own, as it were, does not mean he's responsible for the security problems in the Federal Capital Territory. The Federal Capital Territory has a special dispensation. You have in that Federal Capital Territory alone the Brigade of Guards, you have the DMI, you have the DSS, you have the police, you have the civil defense, you have, a multiplicity of security agencies whose primary responsibility is to fulfill the objective of Section 14(2) of the 1999 Constitution, which is to ensure the responsibility of government to provide security and welfare for the people of Nigeria. It's not an individual responsibility, it's an institutional responsibility. And that's why I say, whether Wike is in Abuja or not, if there are security problems, it's not about the individual sitting down there. It's about the integrity of the institutions responsible for security. And that's what we need to strengthen, is the system that we have to strengthen. So even if Wike were in Abuja, he himself could be abducted. If he goes in public transport and is unfortunate, either him or any member of his families, to enter one chance, they could also be victims. So, but the whole thing is of a larger dimension, and that is my point. So I will not join others to say, because Wike is not in Abuja, that's why there is a problem of insecurity, or because a governor is not in his state, that's why a problem happened in the, that would be utterly simplistic. Mm-hmm. And if I dare say, it won't follow the logic. I don't want to use a stronger word. So I will excuse Wike in that regard. But when he misbehaves, as a public official, it is part of our responsibility to point it out. The principle in law is voluntae non fit injuria. If you don't like heat, don't go near the kitchen. So if you are a public official, you are fair game. We have the job to point out your flaws. When you leave that position, you can become a private citizen. Now, in terms of he going door to door, word to word, house to house, saying he's campaigning for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with his band of jesters who call themselves, is it a musical band? What other funny name do they give themselves? We say that the Independent National Electoral Commission has not yet said you can start campaign. So it is an act of irresponsibility for you to be going around campaigning and you are saying you will deliver local governments, you will deliver clans and villages to the president when INEC has not said you can start campaigns. So who is going to call him to order? A man who has said Rivers State belongs to him and that anybody or nobody cannot speak to him. And I guess that the point I made yesterday, when you stretch that and anybody, Rivers State is a no-go area, I guess that includes the president of Nigeria. That the president of Nigeria cannot even say anything about what is going on in Rivers State. So that's, I use the word again, delusional. And I think that, this kind of irresponsibility should not be allowed. There should be limits to it. The third thing is that I think that Mr. Wike is exposing the president of Nigeria to gross embarrassment. In fact, he is undermining the authority of the same president that he says he wants to help. Where is the authority of the president? If a man says he's campaigning on your behalf, you can be guilty by association. And then you look the other way. Your administration looks the other way. You are violating the same guidelines and principles and provisions and protocols of the electoral body. And the onus is on the president to ensure fair play, to ensure that there is a level playing field for everybody. The fourth point is that Minister Wike, which is the point we have said again and again on this platform, no matter whose ox is God, is fighting in the People's Democratic Party, who have said he's not members of the party have said he's not a member of their party. He has been expelled. The same party, the president's party that he says he's helping, they have said he's unknown to them because he's not a member of their party. So where is his authority coming from? On whose authority is he acting and, heating up the polity? So these are the various issues. But let us just hope that at the end of the day, when the president returns, maybe the president will be able to call his self-appointed gladiator, campaigner, promoter to order. And that the president himself will have will summon the authority to say, please, enough is enough. Stop embarrassing me. Because the same way this particular politician has divided the PDP, he can even end up dividing the president's party that has said he's not a member. The chairman of the party is complaining. The spokesperson of the party is complaining. The national secretary, which is the title of Senator Bashiru, is also complaining. So what's going on? We ask, what is going on? And that is a fair comment for those who talk about fairness.
Yes, I know you want to move on, but we have some breaking news from our newsroom, which is that in relation to this, members of the River State House of Assembly have begun impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara. That's currently ongoing. That's coming from our newsroom. So, just speaking to all of these dynamics, in the morning, I remember I had said that, well, this is a gamble he's taking. That's Nyesom Wike, and it will be interesting to see whether this is a gamble that will pay off. But in essence, I think the major thing is that, which is the point I'd made in the morning, is that Nigerian politics is Machiavellian in nature. It's about those who have the most power, and power in this climb is money. And if you look at all of the members of the House of Assembly, majority of them, whether they be APC or PDP, he sponsored most of them to be where they are. So I suppose this is what's giving him the confidence to say that he has this rainbow coalition and to call the governor a bad child, because he still controls the House, the River State House of Assembly, and now they've instituted impeachment proceedings. What will happen next? Remember last time something like this happened, it led to the state of emergency in the state. We just hope that it doesn't break down law and order. I know you have to move on to the next part, but because it was breaking, I just felt it was apt to bring it in.
Absolutely, and that's such a big deal. Yes, the fact that the House of Assembly have started impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara, and we'll stay on politics and stay in Abuja, because meanwhile, the former Labour Party vice presidential candidate, Senator Dati Baba Ahmed, also sparked a flurry of reactions from the public after declaring his interest at throwing his hat in the ring to run for president in 2027. Now, Baba Ahmed declared this yesterday at a rally at the party's national secretariat, saying that he's doing this quite simply because Nigeria needs help. Let's watch.
I'm my own boss. Simple. I'm not following anybody's trajectory. I'm not stepping into anybody's shoes. Can I please remind you that before His Excellency Governor Peter Obi aspired for presidency, I aspired for presidency before him. The records are there for you to see. In October 2018, I participated in the primaries of PDP, the then PDP in Port Harcourt. And I walked to Governor Peter Obi and I said, please, can I have your vote? And he smiled at me. What a gentleman he was. Nigeria needs people like me. Then your question about if I have decided to declare, I am a law-abiding citizen and I'm also a loyal party member until the timetable is released by INEC.
Now, while some on social media welcome this potential declaration, one person said, Foster's tweet, said that Dati is trying to play a lead role in a movie where the star actor has already left the set. He says he's not following anybody's trajectory, but let's be real, without the obedient energy, the Labour Party in 2026 is just a collection of empty chairs and Julius Aburi's legal fees. To claim you were a 2019 aspirant as a badge of honor is funny. You had zero momentum then, and you're trying to build a 2027 campaign on the ghost of 2023. You aren't stepping into anyone's shoes. You're standing in a shop where the shoes have already been sold. The North respects boldness, but they also respect numbers, and those numbers followed Obi to the ADC. And Vimbai, I'll come to you on this one, because for weeks we've been talking about, how the opposition is growing weaker. But yesterday we discussed PDP members meeting. Now we have Baba Ahmed speaking on his own ambitions and saying that Nigeria needs people like him. How true is that?
Well, you know what? I don't foresee any politician throwing their hat into the ring and playing themselves down. If you have ambition, you're always going to put yourself forward as the best thing since sliced bread or ice cream, and he has every right to do so. The questions, however, we should be asking are, what's the state of the Labour Party? That's hugely factionalized at the moment. We don't know which faction is the correct one to be recognized. The Supreme Court has delivered its own ruling on it. However, before INEC, they're still haggling for control over the party. And this is what we are seeing as a common feature in PDP. ADC still stands as one, but there's the commotion around who will become the leader and who will secure the presidential ticket. However, Dati Baba Ahmed is within his rights to step into this type of ambition. He's made several statements around people moving around political parties and so forth. But the honest truth is we've come to understand that this is the nature of the politics, that we don't really have parties per se, we have platforms, and that individuals will move to the platform that they deem necessary in order for them to achieve their desired aspiration. But the question is, what is really the state of the relationship between Peter Obi and Dati Baba Ahmed? Is it really feasible that things have broken down to the point that he will come and start speaking ill of his former principal in the name of politics. Well, we've seen stranger things happen. But some people are going as far as saying, is it possible that he's just a placeholder in case things don't work out for Peter Obi at ADC? Are they just trying to keep the seat warm in Labour Party so that can happen? Well, so much will still unravel and happen. But, by means of him coming to make this declaration, I think he's totally within his rights to put himself forward as the best person for Nigeria. Because if I were campaigning, I certainly would also tell everybody that I am the best, not just for Nigeria, but for the whole world.
Right? The game of politics, it continues. And from Abuja, let's now head to Oyo State, where communities in the Orire local government area are on edge after 5 people were killed and many more hurt at the National Park Service on Tuesday evening. Now, the state's police PR officer, Ayonlade Olayinka, confirmed the attack, saying that yet-to-be-identified armed men attacked personnel of the National Park Service, but that police are assessing the situation firsthand. Well, later that day, on Wednesday evening, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde responded to the killings, confirming that this was an external attack from outside the state. Now, in a post on his X profile, he said in part, and I'll read this tweet, he said, "Preliminary investigations by the security agencies indicate that this was a cross-border attack carried out by bandits. Let me appeal to residents of Oyo State, especially those in Orire local government area and other local government areas along our borders. Remain calm because security agencies have restored normalcy and deployed more personnel to the area. Our administration will leave no stone unturned to respond decisively to prevent a recurrence of such attacks." So, Adefemi, I'll come to you on this. How should Oyo State and the broader Southwest be looking at this development in light of the governor confirming that this was a cross-border attack? How much of a threat is banditry or terrorism, however we're calling it, a spillover? How much of a concern should that be for the Southwest right now?
No, it is a legitimate concern, because as we're looking at with this situation with Oyo, with what the governor has said, he quite literally said that this is a cross-border attack. They've come from outside our state to attack us in our state. And that immediately, sets off alarm bells that this is a crisis that is moving southwards, that if you are among the faction of people who feel as though insecurity is a northern problem, or a problem that is certainly at arm's distance away from you, situations like this will cause you to sit up straight and say, this is a situation that we have to really focus on. So for the Oyo State government, for Governor Seyi Makinde himself, this is a very crucial time for him to show the type of leadership he is made of. If he does have any political ambitions beyond being the governor of his state, this is going to be another metric of him for the people to be able to test what he can do, how he can secure the people of his state, if at all. It is fine and fair for him to say that this is a cross-border attack, but that doesn't really take away from what you're going to do about it. These people coming from outside of your state doesn't really change the responsibility or change the face of what your response is going to be. Yes, we are seeing that there are lots of different political gatherings. We've got, of course, the Southern Governors Forum, which of course includes Oyo State. They have already been, for weeks, months, in fact, coming together, talking about different ways in which they can tackle this insecurity issue, whether it's just from the state governments or also looking and speaking to traditional rulers in their regions. But I think, again, coming back to how they're going to tackle it, I didn't really hear much about what this investigation is going to look like, what the people of Oyo should be expecting. And yes, it is fine and fair for a governor to say, don't worry, this is an issue that came from outside. But really, we're a bit late in the day now. He has to really do something to make his people feel secure. And then for other people, my own state is just below, it's south of Oyo. So, I mean, clearly there's a legitimate concern across the region.
Absolutely.
Okay, 2 quick comments. The first is about the situation in Oyo State. In the statement on X by the governor of Oyo State, he's saying that, look, this is coming from neighboring countries. The expression used, I think, is cross-border. Now, what it means is simply that nobody is safe. Oyo State is bordered by Ogun, Kwara, Niger, Osun, and that whatever problem we have in other parts of the state, they are also experiencing it in the northern part of Oyo State. And the affected place is National Park Service area in Orire local government area, where 4 forest guards have been killed, and one is in a very serious condition of injury. The point we keep making, that the government still needs to do a lot more. And you ask the question, where is Amotekun, which is the Western Nigeria, security network? Where is it? Where is Sunday Igboho? There was a gentleman, or there is a gentleman called Sunday Igboho, who was leading the protection of the Southwest region, trying to protect the incursion of, terrorists, bandits, criminals, from other parts of the country into the southern part of the country. So this is a continuing challenge, and both the Oyo State government and the federal government and all the security agencies, they have the mission, the responsibility, the assignment to ensure that whether in Oyo State or the adjoining states that they have been talking about, are free. The reference is to ungoverned forested spaces that link all these states. Now, how can those state forested spaces be made secure? At a time when the president of Nigeria himself has talked about forest guards and has directed the Department of State Services to recruit more forest guards to secure those ungoverned spaces. Quickly, on the situation in Rivers, I think it's a developing story. We'll still get a lot to talk about tomorrow morning. What I find curious there is that on the back of Minister Nyesom Wike, who has abdicated his responsibility in Abuja, he's been in that River State now for quite some time. Christmas holiday is over. What is this doing there? His place of work is Abuja as FCT Minister. He's busy playing politics. One report stated that he was he is in the House of Assembly of River State, witnessing and supervising impeachment proceedings against the sitting governor. That's an act of impunity. After he had said the Rainbow Coalition will take over the state and fill every position. But as I said, it's a developing story. And I hear that one TV station that is covering the proceedings is now under pressure and is having to say, we are not part of this. So we were invited to come and cover something else. We don't know that we have been brought in, ambushed to come and cover impeachment proceedings. But we'll get all the details by tomorrow morning or later today, since we're in the age of news as Indomie, traveling as at the speed of light. Yes. So let's just watch development and see. But if it is true that Wike is in that House of Assembly overseeing proceedings, that would be the height of impunity. I want to assume that it is not true.
Yes, and like you said, we'll keep watching that story about this new report that impeachment proceedings have been launched against Governor Fubara. But now let's take our next story from Lagos, where the state task force says that they're pushing to bring order to the roads after announcing the arrest of 32 people, also known as Omotaku, during a coordinated operation on Tuesday. Now, the chairman of the task force, Adetayo Akerele, says that people had been talking about this issue online, on the radio, about just how much of a menace these people are. So on Wednesday, the State Commissioner of the Environment and Water, Tokunbo Wahab, shared a video which shows the moments after their arrest. Let's watch. Now, A lot of responses to this video suggest that some of these individuals should work on a farm to build the agricultural industry. Some people have said that these people should be put in the military to deal with insecurity. And whether or not that's the right course, the big issue here is clearly a lack of jobs and the state of underemployment in the country. There was also a lot of backlash to these arrests, with videos going around, and we'll show them soon, of officials also going after children that you'll often see on the streets of Lagos. And Vimbai, I mean, how do you think we should see this story?
Well, I think there's several layers to it. The first, I think, is that it's a great development because these guys are a nuisance. You read and hear so many stories, especially if you have a breakdown. If you're unfortunate enough, not even a breakdown is minor. Even at the scene of accidents, they won't help. These are some of the first people. They're usually the first responders in the area. And what they'll do is they'll first loot the scene of an accident before anybody else is able to get to them. A true nuisance, and it's usually understood that they are used as they're a tolerated nuisance because they are used when it's convenient to satisfy political agendas. So to seeing them being rounded up is a very welcome development. However, having said that, what are the root causes of this nuisance? What are the fundamental issues that are broken in our society that are leading to the emergence of these individuals who, I mean, this is just 30-something that were arrested. There are thousands all over Lagos State. Yeah. Now, the unfortunate thing is when we do this as a sort of blanket operation, that we now no longer have the empathy or the discretion to see that there are some that are minors amongst them. There was a woman also amongst that group of 30-something. So we can't treat everybody equally, but we can treat everybody fairly. Those children do need to be protected. They need to be rehabilitated, taken back into school. The Agberos, I don't know if they're capable of rehabilitation. We can try. However, I like the idea of putting all that exuberant energy to good use on farms and in military and so forth. Yes. I think that's a very good, very useful way for them to express the energy that they have to commit all manner of nuisance and atrocities all over the state.
Absolutely. We'll keep watching that story as well, but let's end on a slightly more positive note, where we saw the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu showing off some of his signature dance moves on Tuesday at the National Theatre. It's been making the rounds on social media, and he's fully vibing with performers as part of the activities. We'll talk about it after we play the video. Let's look. Now, this event took place on Tuesday while he was attending the Lens for Good 2026 Storytellers Conference at the National Theatre. Now, Sanwo-Olu talked about how reassuring it is to see the National Theatre alive again, with young people's energy as evidence as to why it was so important to restore this space. Online people are calling him the Gen Z governor. What a vibe. Thank you all for, your great analysis today.
Sure. Gen Z governor. Sanwo-Eko.
Exactly.
Gómìnà we sabi roads.
Exactly.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Annie.
Thank you.